Hello everyone, welcome back. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. Recently Adrien Broner, hotshot number 5, listed currently by Ring Magazine as the pound for pound number 5, meaning number 5 out of all the boxers competing in all the different divisions, came out against MMA, which means that he came out against the Ultimate Fighting Championship and everything else. Now, in fairness, before I make my comment, he said to the person he was decrying the sport to, he said no personal disrespect. So we have to take that in consideration. He didn't mean it as a personal attack, but he said something very interesting. He said he doesn't consider MMA a real sport, 1, and 2, he said if you learn all the moves, you can automatically become a world champion. Is that true? Well, not now. I remember when in the early 80s I started training under Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert, later ruled by the Abu Dhabi Combat Club as the greatest Jiu-Jitsu instructor in the world, Pedro Sauer from Rio de Janeiro. He was a black belt both under Rickson Gracie and Helio Gracie himself. And I was training in it before the Ultimate Fighting Championship happened. And there was a period of time in the early 90s when the Brazilians were coming over and they had their system down. While we were admiring people like Jack Dempsey, who was allegedly on a Harvard campus beaten by a wrestler in an actual fight, we had Joe Louis, we had Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, we've had all these great boxers in Brazil since the mid-1920s. They were fighting for real, refining their art to where all they needed to do was lock up in a clinch, and they knew the fight was theirs. Now think about it. How many boxing matches, even if you get guys who have more power than anybody else over the last 30 years, who's the hardest puncher pound for pound? Well, Julian Jackson. But you get somebody who knocks guys out in the first round over and over and over again, like Mike Tyson during his peak. Still, there was time for a clinch. There was time for a clinch. Now, during the early years, the formative years of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or what was known before that as the Gracie Challenge, the Brazilians were so dominant that pretty much all they had to do was get on a plane, come over here, and win a world championship. They could do it in different divisions. In fact, it was a few years before we really saw that we could pick it up and compete equally with them on their own footing. I remember the first time I saw it, it was a man named Carlson Gracie Jr., and he looked like he'd just stepped off a bar stool somewhere, and little troll-looking fella. Sorry, Carlson, but... And he got in with one of our Americans, John Lewis, I believe it was, and he couldn't overcome him, and it was the first time that just knowing the style of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was not even close to enough. Was not even close to enough. So, some people are going to say, well, Ken Shamrock was able to smother out Hoist. And, okay, I'm not disagreeing, but I want to stay on point with this. And sometimes for me that's a challenge, so let's get back to it. There was a period of time when the Brazilians were so advanced that they could just do that. In fact, when the Americans started trying to implement what is known as the closed guard in MMA, where you have your arms and legs holding them in, they did not know why they were going to do that, so they absorbed horrible beatings. You had top fighters getting just absolutely brutally pounded because they didn't know why they were supposed to be using this. They didn't know how to use it, what it was for, what it was. So there was a time when you had a lot of Brazilian fighters and even some Russians just absolutely dominating the scene. So in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, that was true. Now, Mr. Broner, young man, there are tens of thousands of people worldwide practicing MMA, practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, practicing Russian Sambo, like the last pound-for-pound champion, Fedor Emelianenko, who Mike Tyson speaks so highly of for obvious reasons. Now, there aren't enough champions. So you have this best of the best going on. It is difficult. It takes years to work your way into a title opportunity. In the Ultimate Fighting Championship, people have to face a variety of different challenges. So while that might have been true at one point, it isn't close to true now. It isn't close to true now. You have a few divisions even in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the World Championship level, things whittle down. You have to beat a variety of different people. Along the way, you have to beat a variety of different styles within it. Learning the moves is not enough now. It becomes, as Bruce Lee would point out, and I learned from one of his devotees, Paul Vunak's material, it becomes about your attributes, it becomes about your other elements, because all other physical things being equal, all technology being equal, the one who wants it the most is going to win, the one who prepares for it and conditions it is going to win. So while that might have been true at one point, it no longer is the case. And Adrien, you should really research these things before you publicly talk about them. What are your opinions? Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money Boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own Money Boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.